Welcome back to V8 Creative and part 62 of the Ultima RS build. Hold tight because we set up the suspension and take the beast out on the open road. Welcome back to the Dean Den, and what a glorious day it is in Wiltshire in the UK. The sun is beating down on the tarmac, and what we're going to be doing is setting the suspension up on the beast and taking her out on the open road. But before we do that, what I want to do is mention today's sponsor, and that is a company called Adrian Flux. Now, if you are in the kit car scene, the classic car scene, well, actually any specialist automotive scene in the UK, you will have heard of Adrian Flux as one of the most highly regarded insurers in the business. Now, they've been doing this for over 50 years and their staff are incredibly experienced. Pick up the phone and say, I've got an Ultima RS I want to insure, and they know exactly what an Ultima is. Now, I remember if I go back 30, 35 years, my first Westfield, I used Adrian Flux for the insurance for that beast. So I've put a link down in the description. So if you click on that link, leave your details, and someone from their specialist team will get back to you and give you a quote on whether you want road going insurance or build insurance, which I also had from Adrian Flux. So let's get on to some spannering. So what are we going to do? What needs setting up on this beast? Well, the Ultima, the chassis, has a lot of adjustments on it to make it just that perfect beast on the road. Now, when this was a rolling chassis, I set it up with a string box. I can't remember what episode that was. So I got it pretty much spot on. But now she is fully up together, fully weighted. We need to check everything is spot on. And what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is tire pressures, ride height, front and rear camber, front and rear toe. All these have to be set, and Ultima provide a set of measurements that are perfect for the road going beast. And of course, if you want to track her, there are different measurements that we can apply for that. So without further ado, let's get on with some spannering. The first thing we do are tyre pressures. Yep, the rears, and I have to look at my little list here, the rears are 23 psi and the fronts are 19 psi. So let's check those first. There we go. 23, can you see that? Okay. 19. Okay, got my instructions. So, tyre pressure's done. Next, what we have to do is adjust the dampers all the way down to their minimum, which is, there's a little knurled knob on them and you go all the way anti-clockwise. So let's do that on all four corners. So here's the little knurled knob on the top and we go all the way, you can hear it clicking, all the way anti-clockwise. So that's that one done. Let's go around the other side and do the others. Okay, instructions, step 3. Bear with this, there's about 12 steps. Anyway, step 3, next is ride height. Now, Ultima provide the recommended ride height, which is front 120 millimeters and rear 170. Now, clearly, if you want to track it, you can take it lower, but for general road use, that's what they recommend. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a couple of blocks of wood at these measurements so I don't have to faff around with a ruler. And what Ultima do is they tell you exactly where to take that measurement, which I'll show you in a minute when I start just altering the height of the car. Clearly, it needs to be a flat surface the car's on, and the Dean Den is flat. So that's fine. And also, to change the ride height, what you're doing is you're rotating the platforms that the spring actually sits on. So there's going to be quite a lot of friction there as you're compressing that spring. So what Ultima recommend is to put some light oil on the threads and also on the platforms where the springs will actually sit. And that makes life a lot easier. So let's make those wooden blocks first and then get on with it. So the next thing you have to do is lock the steering straight. Now, what you have to do is remove this gaiter either side. It's just a zip tie you've got to cut. And then we can put a small piece of angle in either side to lock it. And then we can start doing our measurements. Next, we're talking about camber. Now, camber on the Ultima you can adjust on the front and the rear of the car, but we're focusing on the fronts first. And what camber is, if you look at the front of the car, it's how much the wheels lean in or lean out. And you may have seen on Formula One that what you'll have is the wheels leaning in quite a bit, and that's the same as the Ultima. Now, what Ultima say is that these should be between 1.5 and 2 degrees lean in. Now, that can be done either by measuring how much these wheels are actually tilting, or, as in my case, I've purchased this little gauge here, a camber gauge, and I'll give you a close-up of it and a link of where you can buy these. And what it is it's a magnet on the end and a spirit level. And what you do is you connect that magnet to the brake disc, and what you can do is read off on the bubble actually the angle of how these wheels are sitting. Now, to adjust it, the easiest way is to remove the top 2 connections of the top wishbone, pivot the wishbone up, then rotate. And every single rotation is, what do they say, is about 0.3 of degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure this first. Then once we've got the measurement on both wheels, we're going to jack the car up and then remove the wheel, remove the top wishbone, and then we're going to spin it, put it all back together, put it back on the ground, roll it backwards and forwards, and measure it again. Yeah, it's a bit long-winded, but once you get it set up, the car will be perfect. Okay, let's go.
I'm not heading for the stars, driving down the boulevard at night, playing Coldplay on repeat, watching people on the street as I go by. And it doesn't even matter to me where I go, I just feel I need to take a ride. Got my coffee cup to go, and I'm gonna hit the road tonight. Now my wheels in motion and my wheels
Right. Now what I'm going to do is put it back on the ground, roll it backwards and forwards, and then check the cambers, and hopefully it's spot on. So I've spared you me rolling it backwards and forwards, so let's just pop this on and see what it is set at. So it is 1 3/4, which is bang in the middle. Right, I'm going to go to the other side now and check that side. Let's see what this is. 1 3/4. Spot on. Right, you can probably tell. Change of clothes. I needed a bit of a break last night. I got fed up of measuring, and in that chicken madras, chips and lager was just calling me. But anyway, I'm back, re-energized this morning. And what I've done before I've started filming is I've set up a string box. Yep, it looks like Spider-Man's been in here. But basically what it is it is running 2 lines, one either side of the car from front to rear. And the reason we do that is next we're going to set the front toe and the rear toe. That's basically how much the wheels are going to be pointing inwards, and that's how you set them up on an Ultima. Now, the way it's done is you measure, and I'll do an insert here so you can see, you measure the distance from the back of the wheel rim to the string and the front of the wheel rim to the string, and that measurement, and I'll put it up there, needs to be a certain amount and the same on both wheels. And you do it for the front and then you do it for the back. Now, quite astonishingly, I checked them all off camera and they're all fine. So clearly, when I used the string box when I was doing the rolling chassis, everything was, well, done properly, I guess, which is good because it saves me a lot of time because I don't have to adjust things, but it's not that difficult. Front toe is adjusted by rotating the track rod ends, pretty straightforward. And the rear, there is a lovely little toe adjustment, which is just an opposed thread, and you just rotate, I think it's a hexagonal piece of threaded bar, and it moves it in and out. So at the back, very slight amount. At the front, a little bit more. Right, spannering over. Let's take her out. Ah, just listen to that V8. That 6.2 litre spins up and the ECU just blips it slightly. It's just amazing. Now I've got my wife in the Fiat 500 with the GoPro, and what I'm going to be doing over the next sort of 4 or 5 minutes with you is doing lots of different maneuvers. So overtakes, cornering, basically acceleration, just sort of understanding if the setup suits me, because this is what it's about. Because Ultima are pretty good at bolting down what the average driver wants as a starting point. So let's go for the overtake first. Getting ready. Enough said. Now I'm sorry I'm looking a bit serious here, but what I'm trying to do is sort of take in what the car is doing. So how it likes bumps, how it likes corners, if I'm getting oversteer or understeer. Also if I'm getting tram lining, that's where the car wants to follow imperfections in the road. And if you look here, this road has got this trench down the middle of it, and that is really challenging for cars with wide tyres. But this RS just performs beautifully. So well done Ultima for that initial setup. I would say I have been fiddling around or changing the shock settings, because if you look at this shot here, you can see the car is sort of jiggling around a little bit. And what I did after this scene is I basically dialed up the shocks to make them a little bit stiffer. And in a minute I'm going to do another overtake. So those of you out there that are very observant, just look how the car reacts this time when I unleash all those horses, and you'll see it's a lot more stable. It's actually quite amazing the difference it makes. So have a close look. Now it's very subtle, but I promise you it really did bolster down. It really did hunker down a lot better. Here, rear view, just showing you what it's like with that huge rear wing. Just look, it's madness. Look at it, look at it. And what I just love with this car is you get people following you, they come up close, you get kids on their phones trying to film you, and then you just go into a roundabout like this, just normal roundabout, and you just blipper and you just leave them for dust. It's great. Right, back inside the car again now, trying the gears. I love this car. I think I'm happy. I'm happy.
Very supple. You can tell the suspension's set up well now.
Yeah, so I'm confident now. Getting more and more confident in the car. Look, don't do that at home. I think it's time for another Overtake, don't you? Yeah. Right, let's do it. Oh, the noise is just so amazing. Right, here's some town footage. And the reason I've put this in, it's about the noise. So I'm going to accelerate away from these lights, and the car just sounds awesome. And this is all under 2,500 RPM and at about 25 miles an hour. Listen. It's you've got 8 cylinders, that's why. That's something, if you drive an electric car, you'll never experience. And we got another red light here. And I don't know if you can see this, there's a guy just about to walk across the road. I think he's had a few. And he puts his thumb up. It's great. I like the reaction of people. Here we go again. Oh. Now, when driving through town, a lot of people may think there's no power steering, that steering is really, really heavy. Well, actually, it's not. Okay, if you get below 5 miles an hour, it weightens up as you would expect. But it is, I would say, a pretty easy thing to drive. Salisbury Cathedral to the right. And now I'm coming into really heavy traffic, and here's where you're going up and down a lot of gears, and again you don't really feel the clutch. I'm still surprised how soft that clutch is. It is the high performance clutch. Oh, listen to that. And people, they leave the windows open on their cars so they can hear you go by. Look, this guy on the left. Oh, I'm sorry, I could just do this all day. And look how low you are. It's when you go past a bus, you're the same level as their centre wheel nut. And my daughter actually said, "Dad, we're the height of dog's eyes," which is quite amusing. You can hear the air conditioning fan, that's that noise in the background. I like a cool cockpit. Yes, you all know what this means. Another episode draws to a close. Now I hope you found it interesting how setting up the RS and then seeing how it responded on the road really shows how if you follow the manufacturer's recommendations, you end up with a machine that's pretty much spot on. It's beautiful to drive. Anyway, for those of you that have been following the series closely, you know what the first 500 miles means, don't you? And look at the speedo now. Yep, she's ready for that second oil change, and then she's ready to be let loose. That's 6,700 RPM rev limit, but that's for another episode. So what I would like to say, closing off today, is thank you for your support. Thank you for all your subscriptions and all those thumbs up, because they really, really do make a difference to this channel. So until next time, as I always say, keep smiling and enjoy your spannering. Oh yeah, also, here's one more overtake.